from Sports Illustrated, one of our favorites, Lee Jenkins now, SI.com, and the crossover. Lee, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Colin. How are you?
I am great. I was saying on the John Wall-Lonzo matchup, listen, if 8 years into the career of John Wall as a number one pick, I still don't trust him late, and he's not a great shooter.
Right.
8 minutes into Lonzo, I'm like, God, he's kind of been pretty good. We'll talk about the matchup too, but from what our expectations were to Lonzo right now, he's a better rebounder, I thought. He's getting 9 assists a game. He's a hot and cold scorer. I've been pleasantly surprised by Lonzo.
Yeah, I think the shot will come. I mean, he's always been a good shooter, and he's always been a good shooter from distance. Now, I don't know if the length of NBA players has given him problems or if, he feels like he can't get that shot off as easily as he used to, because clearly he's not shooting well. But I think it's a tribute to the Lakers that they haven't said, well, we got to fix this shot or change it around.
Right.
Because he has shot, and he shot from distance really well. And I think what you've seen in these past few games is it's the way he elevates the group, and it's hard to put a stat on. It's hard to articulate it, but he does things, the way he delivers the ball, the vision he has, the way he gets to loose balls. This was the kind of stuff at UCLA that he did and made an impact. Oddly enough, ironically enough, it's not stuff that lends itself so well to marketing or to branding,
right.
But it is stuff that lends itself really well to winning.
Well, the organization itself is so iconic. You don't have to be a flashy Laker to be a popular Laker, because the brand itself, it's like USC football. You don't need a flashy coach like Lane Kiffin. The brand gives you the glamour. If you just win games at USC, you're fine. When you look, what are your sources saying on Lonzo? Like when you talk to guys around the league, do you think, for instance, we talked about this, his dad has obviously made him a target.
Right.
But Tim Tebow's religion made him a target. And Bryce Harper being on the cover of SI was a target. I've seen a lot of these young guys come in, their targets. All rookies there's a frat house hazing element to pro sports.
Yeah.
What do you make of Lonzo, the dad? Has he increased the target on him?
The only difference is he says names. He says specific names, whereas, Tebow's religion didn't do that, and Harper didn't do that. So he's calling out Pat Beverly, he's calling out John Wall, and he's also picking the guys he's calling out aren't necessarily the ones you would want to, just from a personal standpoint. It's guys who didn't necessarily have fathers in their lives. It's guys who are, pretty tough and kind of edgy.
Yeah.
So in that way, I think people got a kick out of the Wall thing, because it was like players were like, of all the guys to call out, you're going to call out John Wall, you're going to call out Pat Beverly, people who, may be able to give him problems.
Yes.
I know Wall didn't necessarily, but I think that's what separates LeVar. I don't think anybody cares about the shoes and kind of the Carnival Barker stuff and the showmanship. I think it's more about specific names. Steph Curry now is in the conversation.
So the
when
dad's
they play
calling
him.
out individual. That would be like a quarterback's dad saying, pass rusher, Davian Clowney's a bum.
Got no chance. Yeah.
You make a very good point. Calling out specific names is dangerous. Okay, so let's go to the other coast. I've said this multiple times before the season. I think Ben Simmons will be a better player than Lonzo, because I think he's longer, a better athlete. And when he was in college and didn't make the tournament, I said, I don't care. Okay, NBA coaching is better. He's going to be a star. I got to tell you, I laughed at Philadelphia winning 40 games, but Embiid's spectacular. We knew that.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons, he looks like special, right?
No, this could be like Giannis. And this is one of those players like 10 years ago, would they have figured out what to do with him? Would they have known what to do with him? But LeBron, Giannis, there's been this element of the oversized point guard, these long players putting the ball in their hands, letting them do what they do. That's become such a trend, and it's helped a guy like Simmons, because clearly this is the best spot for him. Now, will it help Markelle Fultz going forward? Probably not, but it will definitely help Ben
By the way,
Simmons.
this sounds counterintuitive. There are random players who are made for a pro league more than a college league.
Right.
I think Ben Simmons is a full court player. I think in a half court set, there's limitations. He's not a shooter. I actually think he will be a significantly better NBA player. Also, because of his gifts, because of his passing, Lee, he needs to be surrounded by people who can catch and finish.
Yeah.
LSU basketball, LSU football's got a lot of guys that can catch and finish. I actually think Simmons will be a better pro player than a college player.
Well, and he's defended great too. And
Has
that's
he?
one area you didn't see necessarily at LSU.
He has.
He's defended well, and he can go get his baskets. The thing I wonder about Lonzo when we're comparing the two, like you talk about Wall, Wall can just go get buckets because of his speed.
Oh, he's a great athlete.
In 8 years, will Lonzo Ball be able to get buckets like that? And maybe he won't need to. I mean, his gift is clearly getting them for others. But when you project ahead, Simmons is always going to be able to go get himself a basket, his team a basket. I don't know that Lonzo will. Lonzo, it'll be more of a cultural impact he'll make on a team rather than one where he's just putting up 25 and 12
I think
night.
that's well put. There are players, I think his dimensions, even the Lakers' basket to assist percentage this year is up. He is changing the team. Now, to your point, Lonzo can only really work at the best Lonzo with finishers. The Lakers don't have finishers.
Yeah, they need shooters. And already you're seeing it. Like a guy like Brandon Ingram, guys will get better. He took players at UCLA, and I know college is totally different comparison, but guys who were not having good college careers, and all of a sudden they became good college players in their senior season. He will do the same thing for the Lakers. It's why I wondered why they traded D'Angelo Russell, because you don't know the full extent of what someone can be with Lonzo until he plays with him. I mean, you saw it last night with Ingram, Colin. I mean, Ingram is going to blossom this season. How much of that is just natural progression? How much of it is playing with ball? Who knows? But clearly he helps the process.
Lee Jenkins, Sports Illustrated senior writer. Come back, stay here. I got some LeBron questions. We do our LeBronzo meter after every Laker game to see if it will happen. We'll check in on our LeBronzo meter with Lee Jenkins of SI. So we have what we call on this show, we have it the LeBronzo meter, and we do it after every Laker game, and depending on how Lonzo plays. So if I'm LeBron James, I'm watching that game last night, and I think to myself, Lonzo's a hit-and-miss shooter, but the LeBronzo meter today is closer to taking his talents to Los Angeles. Now, we do this all in fun, but your company, SI.com, interviewed 7 legit NBA reporters, all mentioned the Lakers as a probable landing spot next year. Do you buy any of it?
No, I don't buy that he's coming to the Lakers. I don't buy that he's staying with the Cavs. I'm surprised you don't have a Cabron meter for San Antonio. But I'm not going to. I don't think anyone really knows until this season is played out. I don't think he knows where he's going. As much as made of how kind of calculated he is with these decisions, I don't think he can possibly know what the Lakers are yet. And that's why this whole situation with LeVar and Lonzo is interesting. In one way, the heat that LeVar is bringing on Lonzo, the target that he's putting on him, could help him down the road, right? Because he's going through something right now that no other rookie goes through, and if he endures it, he could come out the other side better. However, it's making his rookie year tougher. And the eyes of these free agents, Paul George, LeBron, whoever else, they are on Lonzo Ball. If they're going to commit to Los Angeles, they need to know that this guy is as advertised and can play. And then the other question I have, Colin, and you might be able to answer this better than I can, is this a match? If you have Lonzo and you have LeBron, two guys who need the ball in their hand all the time to really make a full impact, and maybe LeBron doesn't want it as much as he ages, does that work together? Do those two guys, do they take away from one another if they play together?
I'm going to throw this at you. Chris Broussard brought up an interesting point. With Derrick Rose and D-Wade being hurt and Isaiah Thomas out, that you know that Cleveland can't beat Golden State as currently constructed.
Right.
But if you say to LeBron, we're going to experiment here for 2 months, you're the point guard. Mm-hmm. Steph Curry would now have to be in situations, Klay Thompson, and use Isaiah Thomas at a 2. If you know you can't beat Golden State as currently constructed, what about a roll of the dice saying, LeBron from this point forward, he is a point guard this year? That would create some now you have on the floor LeBron at the point, Isaiah 2. I can put Crowder, Love. I can have shooters. I mean, is that crazy?
I don't know that he can do that for a full season. I mean, that could really wear him down. That is who he is by nature. So much is made of how many positions he can play. He can play center. He can play power forward. He could play anything. But I think point guard is what he is wired to do. When he was young, that's what he played. When games are coming down the stretch in high school, he was essentially a de facto point guard. When games are late in Miami, in Cleveland, it's always in his hands. Last 5 minutes of a game, that's what you do. He's the one bringing the ball up the floor. He always was more Magic than Michael. That's what he wanted to be, basically, was a point guard. And that's what he is, when it's money time. Can he and Lonzo, if we look forward, can they coexist in that way? Because to get the most out of Lonzo, ball's in his hands all the time. Right? To get the most out of LeBron, ball's in his hands too. Now, maybe you look at it as, well, he's aging. He'll have to play off him a little bit more, doesn't want the ball quite as much. But I do wonder about that. Is it even a great fit? And LeBron's such a good basketball mind, he'll have to ask those questions.
Yeah, I think LeBron would also, at his size, struggle to defend the point. As good as he is,
of course,
it's hard enough to stay in front of Westbrook when you're 6'2" and quick and nimble and young.
And he's playing 41 minutes in the second half of back-to-backs. I mean, they need to watch that, and especially with him handling the ball all the time. Those are high-stress minutes.
By the way, Oklahoma City, let's check in. Westbrook's going to shoot a few less times, which is different for him.
Right.
I've always said he's a little bit of a tunnel player, lives in a tunnel. Can he break out of it? Carmelo's always been a 1. Now he's off in a 3. How do you think the experiment's working?
I mean, listen, there are issues right now, clearly there, but that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, when you put 3 stars like this together, you want to have these issues now.
Right.
You want to deal with them now. This is going to be a struggle for Westbrook. It's like the idea is, does he go back to who he is, which works. It's worked for him individually. It's worked to some degree for them as a team. I know you're looking at me like it hasn't worked.
It works, but what's your goals?
Right. But for him, he can't look at his career at this point and the way he's played and say, that didn't work.
You're right.
In kind of a cosmic
That's
sense.
true.
But you're right. In order to take another leap, he probably needs to be a little different version of himself. Can he do that? Is he willing to do that? Or will he have games like the other night in Utah where it looked like he tried, it didn't work, and then he said, well, forget it. I'm going to go back to doing what I've done all these years. He can't really if he wants to keep Paul George there.
I actually trust Westbrook to manipulate his game more than I trust Carmelo to come to terms with, you're the third option.
Huh, really?
Because
he looks so happy, though.
I think everybody looks happy when you're out of the Knicks for a couple months.
Right.
I mean, honestly, it's just like we can win games, and I don't. You know, it's funny. Everybody like Kobe Bryant. I used to have this theory when Kobe would helicopter to Staples or drive or whatever. There's a big difference between being the best player and realizing as you're in that LA traffic on the 405 for an hour, I have to score 36 to win.
Yeah.
Like, Melo wants to be the guy. You don't want to be the only guy.
Right.
And I think in New York, it just wore him out. Anyway, great seeing you.
There are guys who feel that way. Like Harden loves that. I've asked him about that drive.
You have?
And he said, I love that moment, feeling like I need the 36. I've asked Durant about that. And I think there was a feeling like, I don't really know if I want to have to get 36 every night. I want to do some other things some nights. So I think that it's an interesting point you make. That drive and that feeling on the way going into the arena, I think, informs some of the decisions these guys make and where they want to be.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.